Hey guys, it's Gimmighoul Gamer here, bringing you another moveset guide. We are finally getting to talk about Ursaluna Bloodmoon form. This thing is an absolute menace. I've been playing a lot of Regulation E lately. I just got into Master Ball tier, and this thing is everywhere. It's definitely one of the top most, I think it's like top 5 most used Pokemon right now, and there's a really good reason for that. This thing is super strong, so I'm really excited to finally be talking about this guy here. I know it's been a little bit since I've done a moveset guide, so I apologize for that, but I'm really excited to be back into this. So, taking a look at its typing here, ground normal. Nothing crazy. You do have a lot of weaknesses with the ground type, ground typing. That's going to be really good to be able to beat this thing because this thing has some monster stats we'll talk about in a minute here. Definitely, like the key ones is like weak to water and weak to grass. On the special side, you're really going to want to hit this thing special most times. So I think that's its greatest weaknesses. But again, when you have stats like this, and we'll talk about this in just a sec here, like your weaknesses don't matter that much. They really don't. And then pretty solid too. Also getting that dual type stab is going to be really nice, and we'll talk about some of its moves in a minute here. So not crazy. You have 2 immunities, which is kind of nice too on that, on the defensive side of things, and 1 resist. But just kind of a neutral typing for this Pokemon, and it definitely needs a lot of those weaknesses just to be able to handle this because it's an absolute beast. So let's take a look at its stats here. That's hit points. Massive hit point stat, which is just going to give this Pokemon a lot of effective bulk. We also see really high physical defense with that, so just even without any investment, this Pokemon's taking physical hits very well. And then we see a massive 135 special attack. That's going to allow this Pokemon to do so much damage, and it's going to be really hard. Nothing wants to switch in on this Pokemon. Even with resisted hits, this Pokemon's going to be doing crazy amounts of damage with its signature move, and we'll talk about that in just a sec here. But really solid typing. Not a whole lot's wasted on the attack. You're never going to run a physical attack on this Pokemon, so it doesn't even matter. Relatively low speed, but being in that base 52 speed tier, you do kind of find yourself in a weird position where there's going to be some Pokemon around that speed tier that you have to be mindful of. You may want to do a little bit of speed creep just to kind of outspeed and outpace some of those Pokemon. You're pretty close to Teen Lu at that speed tier, and Iron Hands, and a few other Pokemon that have been used quite a bit. So, and then against other Ursaluna Bloodmoon too, especially since that special side is where you're going to be weakest. You really have to hit this thing specially just to take it out. Using Ursaluna Bloodmoon against other Ursaluna Bloodmoon is going to be really key if you're going to be running on your team. So being mindful of that and trying to outpace those other Ursaluna Bloodmoon is going to be really big too. As far as strong Tera types go, I really like the Tera Fairy. I'm a big one especially for an offensive Pokemon, going for that triple stab. And what I mean by that is if you have dual stab already with the ground and normal, going for an offset Tera type, just to give you one more move that's going to be doing that stab, same type attack bonus damage. So, and that Moonblast is going to be really powerful, and then you're going to find some one-hit KOs, especially with the special attack of 135. That's going to put you in a really good position. Fighting's also another really good one because you don't have a lot of coverage moves. We'll talk about this in just a sec here. But fighting's going to be really good. It's going to boost your Focus Blast. It's going to boost your Vacuum Wave. And then it's also going to get rid of your weakness. Both Fairy and Fighting are going to get rid of all of these weaknesses here. And that's going to be really nice too. So I really like the Fairy especially because sometimes going Tera into a type that you'd normally resist, like Poison, means you're not going to get hit with that initially, so it kind of gives you that one free turn to set up or just kind of absorb a hit pretty easily, and you don't really have to worry about getting hit with that dual weakness as well. And then Tera Normal is there just to kind of get rid of some of those weaknesses that you're getting with those ground type things, ground type weaknesses, because you're really only going to be weak to the fight on the normal side of things, and that can be really nice. And then just boosting your signature move, boosting those normal type moves is going to be super nice. Now, Mind's Eye, this ability is a pretty crazy ability. It's basically 2 abilities combined. It basically is like the Scrappy ability, which allows you to hit Ghost type Pokemon with fighting and normal type moves. And then it also ignores accuracy checks. So it ignores evasion, like minimize, it ignores like if they try to use accuracy lowering moves on you, like Mud Slap or whatever it may be, you just kind of ignore accuracy checks as far as like the evasion stat being affected. So that's going to be super nice. It basically allows this Pokemon to just kind of ignore a lot of evasion Pokemon. I don't really think you're going to see any what's the Pokemon called? Drifblim. Drifblim, kind of using Minimize. It likes to use Minimize and Baton Pass out into other Pokemon. So this Pokemon kind of just invalidates that, being able to hit it, that Ghost type Pokemon with your strong normal type moves, and then also being able to ignore that accuracy check. So that's super, super good ability on this Pokemon that's already pretty insane with that those stats. And then let's talk about the moves here. So it's actually able to boost with Calm Mind, which is absolutely insane. When you have stats like this, and also be able to boost your lowest defensive stat while boosting that already super high special attack is going to be huge. I really, really like Calm Mind on this Pokemon, and that's pretty deadly. And you also get healing too. You get Moonlight, so you get a normal healing move, which is awesome. I actually like Rest on this too, just so you don't have to worry about status, because that's going to be another thing that can really hurt this Pokemon a lot. But you get Calm Mind and Moonlight, you don't really need much else. With those stats, you're able to set up pretty easily. You can even run a Moringa Berry. I mentioned Moringa Berry on here, which is just going to allow you to boost your special attack by 1 stage after you hit with a special attack. So if you're going max hit points, max special attack, it's so easy to set up with this Pokemon. You can heal off any damage you have and then just hit like an absolute unit. So this Pokemon's super, super good. I also like, sorry, I skipped over the items too. I was just going to mention this really quick. We'll talk more about the items too in the actual moveset guides, but Quick Claw is super, super nice with this Pokemon, because with those super naturally tanky stats, with that super high special attack, you don't really have a great speed stat, and Quick Claw just gives you that 20% chance to just kind of ignore your low speed. So it basically effectively gives you more stats than you already have, and you don't really need an item on a Pokemon with these kind of stats, so just giving you that 20% chance to maybe make the difference between getting another KO or getting a heal up before they're able to take you out on a faster Pokemon is going to be really, really nice. So I really like the Quick Claw, and then you just have a lot of really other good options too. We'll talk about most of these in the moveset guides here, but back to the moves. This thing also gets Taunt. I don't know why I gave it Taunt, but if you want to be that person that runs anti-setup on an Ursaluna, that's going to be horrible, because most of the Pokemon that are going to be able to handle this thing are going to be super tanky, are going to be able to actually take a hit from it and be able to heal it off. And so the fact that this thing gets Taunt, if you really want to be that person and tech that in, that could be horrible to go up against. Bloodmoon is its signature move. It's a lot like Tinkaton's signature move with Gigaton Hammer. You can only use it every other turn, but it's 140 base power special attack with that normal, it's a normal type move. And with those stats, like the thing about Tinkaton and Gigaton Hammer is your physical attack is so low. Yeah, it's doing a decent bit of damage, but when you have a move that's 140 base power, 100% accuracy on those stats, and you have effectively Scrappy to be able to hit Ghost type moves, even if you're hitting a resisted hit, that's doing insane amounts of damage. This thing just bowls over everything with Bloodmoon, and if you go and Calm Mind to boost that, I mean, not many Pokemon can handle that. That just overwhelms a ton of Pokemon. If you're running a more offensive set with Life Orb, I mean, that's going to be absolutely insane. So this Pokemon's pretty crazy here. Hyper Voice is just nice. I've seen a lot of people run like Bloodmoon and Hyper Voice, since you can hit those Ghost types for coverage, just so you're hitting them with that stab over and over and over again, just kind of alternating between those moves. Personally, I like to go for a little bit more coverage to round myself out a little bit. I'd rather go for like a Moonlight over a Hyper Voice, just because you can heal off that damage with that natural tanky stats, and then go for another really high base power move. Moonblast we talked about a little bit. Phenomenal fairy type move, 100% accuracy, chance to lower their special attack, which this Pokemon definitely appreciates with that lower special attack. So really, really good coverage move. Earth Powers are going to be your next stab attack, and there's not a lot of good Earth Power users. It's so nice to be able to use a really good ground type move on the special side. Ground type moves, if you don't know, are actually tied with fighting type moves for being able to be hit like the most super effective hits. They each hit 5 type beans super effectively. So be able to hit that with that stab damage, it's just going to be super, super nice. Now, there's quite a bit of overlap between that ground coverage and that fighting type coverage. 3 of those super effective hits are going to be overlapping. So fighting's a little bit awkward on this, but if you want to run the Focus Blast, that can be good. I think Corviknight has like perfect resistance coverage, and if you can boost up with Calm Mind and hit it with the Focus Blast, that can be a nice way to take that out if you're really worried about that. But it definitely is a decent coverage move option if you want to run it. Now, I've been seeing a lot of Vacuum Wave. Vacuum Wave is a 40 base power fighting type move that has priority. So being able to get a priority move on this Pokemon that has pretty low speed is going to be really nice. You may be able to hit him with like a Moonblast or an Earth Power, get him really low, and then just kind of take him out with that extra little bit of damage, and just kind of ignore that speed stat. So Vacuum Wave is definitely a really good option too. Now, you are kind of limited with your typing coverage. We'll talk about this a little bit more with the movesets. But Tera Blast, this Pokemon definitely appreciates. If you want to Tera into a different typing, just to kind of round out your coverage a little bit, maybe you want something that can handle Corviknight or another Pokemon that you're struggling to go up against. So this Pokemon definitely makes good use of Tera Blast. I actually put Snore on here. Snore is only a 50 base power normal type move, but I think this Pokemon really appreciates you going for rest, and especially if you're running the Quick Claw. Snore can be a really good option because it also has a 30% chance to flinch. So if you're sleeping, getting rid of that status, you're already really tanky, and especially if you're boosting up with Calm Mind to raise your special defense a little bit more. If you have that 20% chance to go first with the Quick Claw, maybe you find a funny flinch, and you're doing a lot of damage too, just with it being a stab move with that really high special attack. So I actually think that out of all the Pokemon that could use Snore, this Pokemon actually potentially could use it pretty effectively. Body Press is just kind of a nice coverage move here if you're going more physically defensive. Maybe you're running Assault Vest and you're going like max defense, max special attack. So you could get a little bit of usage out of Body Press, and it might be nice just so you have a little bit of a physical option to catch some Pokemon off guard. You're going to be going up against a lot of specially defensive tanks, and to be able to hit them on the physical side, it's going to be really nice with that Body Press. Mud Shot's just kind of nice because you're going to lower their accuracy, I believe. It's either accuracy or speed. It might be speed. I actually think Mudshot speed. It's been a while since I've used it. So actually, lowering their speed if you're going on like a faster Ursaluna set, going to be super, super nice. Snarl is also maybe usable, just lowering their special attack since you're pretty weak on that side. It's kind of a nice coverage move. I also put Hyper Beam here just because I thought it'd be kind of funny if you went Blood Moon, a 140 base power move into Hyper Beam. Maybe you find 2 hit KOs right in a row, because a lot of people are not going to be expecting that high of a base power move right after the Blood Moon, especially if you're playing in a 3v3 setting. Being able to, like, if they only have 2 Pokemon left, you hit them with the Blood Moon, they think they're going to get a free turn or be able to live a hit, and then you throw out the Hyper Beam at the end. That could really catch a lot of people off guard and be super, super good. As far as Pokemon in the metagame go, there's actually a lot of Pokemon with really good typing against this guy. Offensively, you do not want to go up against Ogerpon. I didn't mention as one of the counters, but Ogerpon does pretty well against it, and this Pokemon does have a lot of weaknesses that are pretty common right now in the metagame. You see a lot of Urshifu Rapid Strike style, so this Pokemon definitely doesn't appreciate that. It definitely wants to Terrasilize if you're going to be using it, but if you go Tera with those stats, I mean, this Pokemon is just such a hard Pokemon to deal with. It does really well against a lot of the Pokemon too that are being used quite a bit. We're seeing a lot of Garchomp right now, especially with the addition of Scale Shot. Surprising amount of Roaring Moon. I've run into a lot of teams with Roaring Moon lately, and then Landorus is always going to be around. This Pokemon can just kind of ignores that and is able to really hit it hard on that special side, so that's kind of nice. Now, it was really hard for me to come up with counters for this Pokemon at first, just like true hard counters, and you are going to want someone that can handle this Pokemon pretty well on your team. In most cases, like I said, there's a few Pokemon that can kind of handle it decently, like Ogerpon does pretty well. But you want like a dedicated counter that can actually take some hits from it, because you cannot switch in on this Pokemon very easily. It's very, very hard to do. With Ice Scales, Frostmoth is super, super good on the special side, and most times you're only going to see special moves on the Ursaluna, so that can be super nice. You can also kind of trap them with Infestation. You also have the Mirror Coat on Frostmoth, which is really nice. And that's actually why I put Milotic here too, is Milotic's a really good special tank, and it's got the Mirror Coat, so you can be able to soak a hit and then just go Mirror Coat to take this thing out, which can be super, super nice. Wu Chain's a really good option too, and I really like it because it's a really good sub seed staller, and so you can go substitute when they go for the Blood Moon, absorb that really powerful hit, and then just kind of go like Mega Drain. You have a super effective hit against that grass coverage, so you're going to force a Tera, and just put a lot of good pressure on it with the Wu Chain, so that's pretty good. I like the Volcarona here too, because you can go for a Quiver Dance really quick before they can get a hit off and hopefully just kind of outpace them. I haven't actually run the calcs on that, but Volcarona is so naturally specially defensive anyway. I imagine that actually being able to be set up, like be able to set up on an Ursaluna pretty easily here. Florges is just another huge special defense tank that could be a pretty good option. And then Toad Scroll also gets the Mirko. It's got some pretty natural special defense, and you might be running a Mega Drain on it too, which could do a lot of damage. You might be able to catch some people off guard with the Toad Scroll. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and hop into Pokemon Showdown and start talking about some movesets. Alrighty, so this first moveset here, I really like this one. And first thing I want to hit out of the bat is with that speed stat again. I was talking about that speed creep. I'm just putting 12 here just so that you're outspeeding ones that are just going like 252, 252, and 4. And the reason I have 12, you can't go 8. For those of you that don't know, I don't talk about this enough actually, but level 50, doing EV spreads for level 50 is a little bit different than level 100. If I were to just do 8 in this stat, it's 74 right now. If I do 4, it's going to be 73. If I do 8 at level 50, it's still 73. So I actually have to go all the way up to 12, and it goes every 8 EVs after that first 4. So it's just something to kind of be mindful of too if you're ever doing movesets on your own or trying to adapt the EVs. And you're doing it for level 50s, don't always just go based off of what it is for level 100s. You really want to optimize a little bit, and you might be wasting EVs in certain stats, so be careful of that. But for the purpose of this, I'm just doing 12 in most of them. You can do however much speed creep you want or need. You can really kind of look at the meta, look at what kind of Pokemon you want to outspeed. If you're playing with Ursaluna and go, gee, I really wish I had an outspeed on these Pokemon, you can invest a little bit more in speed. It's definitely bulky enough that it can take some hits, especially with those hit points. So I just wanted to kind of hit that off the bat right away. So Quick Claw here with the Calm Mind. I think this is so good because you just have that 20% chance again to go first. So you just have that 20% chance to ignore that speed. In most cases, you're going to be outsped anyway with that low speed stat. So just having that small chance to ignore it is so nice, and you don't really need an item again to boost your stats when you're that bulky. And then you can set up a Calm Mind that's going to kind of make up for your lower special defense here as you're boosting that already super high special attack. You're hitting most things with Bloodmoon. Even if it's a resisted hit, Bloodmoon's going to do crazy amount of damage, and especially if you're able to boost it. And then Moonlight here just to kind of keep you healthy, which is really good. And then I also like Moonblast as my coverage move. Over Earth Power, I like to go Terra Fairy, again, just getting rid of those weaknesses, and then having that really high, powerful move that's so accurate. With that small chance too to lower the special attack is so nice on this Pokemon. So definitely one of my favorite movesets to run with this. You can kind of adapt this how you want or play around with the items, but it's kind of just one of my main ways to run Ursaluna. I think it's a really good way to run it. Next one is Assault Vest. So with that low special attack, you're able to kind of hit like a truck and just soak a lot of hits as a big tanky Pokemon. And so running Assault Vest, getting that effective special defense while being able to dish out bigger hits is going to be awesome. This Pokemon really appreciates that item. And then this is just like full coverage again. And we talked a little bit about this earlier when we talked about the moves, but with the Vacuum Wave being priority, maybe you don't find the quick KO with that Earth Power after you use the Bloodmoon. You might find a Bloodmoon KO pretty easily on a lot of Pokemon. But let's say you KO a Pokemon with Bloodmoon, the new one comes out, you get him pretty low with Earth Power or Moonblast. Now you can just kind of throw out that Vacuum Wave, so even you soaked up a hit because you're a slow Pokemon, now you're knocking them out before they can get another hit on you. And when you're really bulky like this too, that's super nice. You can go easily 2+ with this Pokemon just from soaking those hits and dishing back even bigger hits. So I really like Assault Vest on this Pokemon as well. Another Quick Claw idea, again, we're using the Snore this time. We talked a little bit about this. But with that small chance to cause the flinching, maybe you're resting and you're guaranteed to hit with Snore. You know what you're getting into. You have the Mind's Eye, so you're going to hit those Ghost type Pokemon. So it's not like there's going to be any immunities you run into. And just having that small chance to cause the flinch while you're sleeping and be able to get one of those turns back is going to be huge when you're going rest. And then Calm Mind, you're just going to keep boosting and boosting. And again, the Bloodmoon, even though you're going to get a lot of resisted hits, if you're boosting with Calm Mind and you're able to set up, you're going to ignore those. With that high of a base power, with that special attack stat, you're doing fine. So this move, I think this is kind of a fun move set. I would definitely give this a try if you're looking for something a little bit sillier to run. Now Life Orb. Why would I run Life Orb with speed on this Pokemon? I really like this speed tier because if you're going Tailwind, I think we talked about this a little bit with the Pheasantipity moveset, but if you go Tailwind on Ursaluna Bloodmoon, this Pokemon is super fast. You're outspeeding Fluttermane without a booster energy. You're outspeeding Iron Bundle. You know, a lot of these big special attacking threats that are going to be put a lot of pressure on you. So if you can go into Tailwind, I just have Bombardier here. I actually have a really fun video idea that's coming up pretty soon for an online battle. But I want to kind of save that as a surprise. But Bombardier here gets Tailwind, and you can kind of parting shot in with those really tanky stats. Soak up a hit, and then you're just able to use the Life Orb, use that really good coverage, and just find a lot of KOs. Again, Bloodmoon gonna be your main go-to move, but with the fighting, with the stab, earth power, with the moon blast, you're gonna find a lot of really good options. And just even relying on that Life Orb with that high special attack stat, you're gonna find some one-hit KOs, easy two-hit KOs, and then on a 3v3, I could see this being really, really strong. So definitely don't rule out fast Ursaluna with some speed support. And then this last one here is just kind of goofy, but you could run Blunder Policy again. Really appreciating that speed stat. If you can go double speed, which Blunder Policy, if you don't know, if you miss a move, outside of a few select moves, you have to check that too if you're trying to run this item. But let's say I use Focus Blast. I miss Focus Blast all the time with that 70% accuracy. I don't normally run moves with that kind of low of accuracy. But the kind of nice thing about this is you can go for Calm Mind, set up, heal off that damage, and then maybe you throw out a Focus Blast until you miss. Now you're getting that +2 speed, and you just kind of sweep from there. You might be able to catch some people off guard. I don't think this sets anything crazy, but it is kind of goofy. And definitely if you can make it work, that could be a really, really fun way to use this item that doesn't see a whole lot of usage. So just kind of another fun little set there. But again, there's so many items this Pokemon can use. I definitely think it likes to set up with Calm Mind personally. You could run Key Berry, Moringa Berry, Leftovers, Citrus Berry, whatever you really want to run. This thing's going to be super good. So have fun using Ursaluna Bloodmoon form. This Pokemon is an absolute beast. It's definitely one of the best Pokemon in the game right now. Easily, just the stats are insane. The moves it gets are insane. I don't really know what they were thinking by giving us a Pokemon this strong. But it's a lot of fun to use. So definitely go out there and have some fun using Ursaluna Bloodmoon form. Without any further ado, I think that'll do it for the end of this video. So thank you so much for watching, and this is Get Me Cool Gamer out.